Today, I'm going to take a look at all of the vinyl I have purchased in 2024 so far. It is early April, which means we are a fourth of the way through the year, and I don't have that much new vinyl to share. In this video, we have a number of albums from the 1990s that I just scored. We have a number of albums from 2024. You definitely want to check this out. And stay tuned because the last album I'm going to share is the one I have been most excited about in all of 2024 so far. But before we jump in, I gotta point out, I am digging this new Fence Post vinyl channel, Waffles the Kitten shirt. I just love it. I just love this shirt so much. And I gotta give a quick shout out to YouTube user Elk Vision. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and getting one of these shirts. I believe you were the first person to dive in and grab yourself one of these shirts, even before me. I think you beat me to the punch by about 15, 20 minutes, maybe a few hours. Additionally, one more shout out to user Joy Invasion. Thank you so much for becoming a member. If you would like one of these shirts, you can see it down in the merch shelf. And if you would like to become a member of this channel, it's just $2 a month. You can get behind the scenes videos and some other things like that. Let's dig in. All right, and we are gonna start with one that has been in my want list for a while. I kind of keep going back and forth on whether I want to get it, whether I don't want to get it, in light of the album that came before it by the band turning 30 this year. I had to pick up Down on the Upside by Soundgarden. This is their 1996 LP. This is a reissue from 2016. I remember Down on the Upside getting released. Now, I had been a fan of Soundgarden at the time, digging into Super Unknown, getting into Black Hole Sun, a lot of the other songs on that album, but this one seemed to strike a different chord with me, where that was like powerful and raw and just like really rock centric. This one seemed to hit more of an emotional chord with me. As a ripe 15, 16-year-old in 1996, this is an album that I really devoured on repeat over and over and over again. You know, some of the 90s albums aren't necessarily things I'm going to create a huge space in my collection to go off of the No More Vinyl video that I did recently. I would rather retain that for stuff that is going to last along the ages. And while this is kind of like borderline that, it does have a lot of those powerful tracks that do keep me circling back every so often for that little ping of nostalgia. The songs that really resonated with me: Pretty Noose, Ty Cobb, Blow Up the Outside of the World, Burden in My Hand. Just so good. This is a gatefold sleeve. It's just on black vinyl. Not too much going on there. Kind of a reiteration of the artwork on the cover and the back. You know, it almost kind of has that orangish glow like a couple of those Alice in Chains albums, which have also kind of been a little bit on my want list. So this is the first album I added into my collection in 2024, and I am contemplating on doing one of my album history videos, so stay tuned for that. Let's stick to the 90s, and instead of staying in the Seattle area, let's hop across the country to College Park, Maryland, and a band called Velocity Girl. This is an indie rock band from the early to mid 90s. They formed in 1989, they split in 96, and they actually reunited briefly in 2023. Now, I don't know if that reuniting for a few shows at the end of last year is sticking into this year or not, but if you know, let me know down in the comments. I'm kind of curious. I'm not sure I would really call it Riot Girl because, you know, it's more indie. It doesn't really embody some of those Riot Girl traits, but there are some like light parallels there. This single is an interesting one. It is from 1994. It is for Your Silent Face and You're So Good to Me. Now, those two songs may sound familiar, and for good reason. Your Silent Face is actually a New Order cover, and You're So Good to Me is Brian Wilson, Beach Boys. And I gotta say, both of their covers of these songs are truly great. If you're a New Order fan, if you're a Beach Boys fan, and you also love 90s indie rock, do check this out for sure. Originally released in 1987 and reissued by Light in the Attic in 2019, and potentially a little earlier than that too. This is the 2019 pressing, is The Evil Ones by Rocky Erickson and the Aliens. Now, this has a lot of the classic Rocky Erickson solo stuff. Bloody Hammer, Night of the Vampire, The Wind and More, Two-Headed Dog, I Think of Demons, Walked with the Zombie, Don't Shake Me, Lucifer. Rocky Erickson, of course, was the frontman of the 13th Floor Elevators, often dubbed the pioneers of psychedelic rock. I believe they were the first band to actually coin the term and use the term to describe their music, psychedelic rock. I think that came from Tommy Hall, if I'm not mistaken. This is post his leaving the band, obviously, which took place in, I believe, 1968, 69. You can correct me in the comments. It was post a lot of his incarceration, which ensued after that, leaving of the band due to drug use, and a lot of his, mental instability, which essentially continued throughout his life after that incarceration in a mental institution. This album is pretty fascinating. It's got a lot of really great stuff on it, and I do recommend you check that one out as well, especially if you like exploring the origins of genres like psychedelic rock, if you like exploring the kind of parallels and offshoots that have stemmed from some of the different bands and all of that kind of stuff. Now we're getting into a few that I've actually talked about. We're going to jump forward to this year. The Smile and Wall of Eyes, which I accidentally called Walls Have Eyes off of Walls Have Ears, the 1986 Sonic Youth bootleg that I've shared here on this channel as well. I kind of got the two mixed up, so whatever. Walls Have Eyes was the first album that I really got into from 2024, and it remains one that I'm really kind of got my eye on for my best of the year list come, 9 months from now. There are some truly phenomenal tracks on this record, and I cannot talk up this album enough. Kitty? Favorites of mine include Read the Room. I love the beat on this. The vocals are perfect. Other ones that I really love, Bending Hectic, which has some really great moments in it. It just kind of builds, I believe. But overall, the entire album is, from beginning to end, almost perfect. So, Wall of Eyes, The Smile, which of course is Radiohead frontman Thom Yorke and guitarist, multi-instrumentalist, composer Johnny Greenwood, as well as Tom Skinner of another band. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Pop over to my review of this and I talk a lot more about the band's makeup and all of that. Slipping back to last year, and one that I didn't quite catch until this year. I didn't realize they had a new album until 2024. Drop 19s and Hard Light. I've really enjoyed digging into this. I saw a lot of parallels in this with bands like Yo La Tengo and Slowdive. This is the latest band to reunite in the whole shoegaze resurgence that has been going on for the last, almost decade now. I think it was 2017, 2016 that we saw a couple of those bands come back. Reid, Slowdive. It was 2013, 2014, I can't recall which. We had MBV by My Bloody Valentine. So, Cat, no, Kitty. Some of my favorites on this include Gal, which is my favorite on the album, and also Kitty. My favorite on this album is Gal, but when it comes down to it, they're all pretty great. And as a whole, it's one that I could listen to cover to cover. Had to fast forward a little while for the next one. We're jumping back straight to 2024. It's Jesus and Mary Chain and Glasgow Eyes. This, I believe, is their first album since 2017's Damage and Joy, and it is, in my opinion, better than that album. I like it better. I think it holds together more tightly. It doesn't quite touch, I don't think, some of the earlier stuff, but that's really no surprise. Really good nonetheless. Now we gotta jump back to the 90s. And for this, we are going back 22 years to the Drop 19s and their debut 1992 album, Delaware. I have been digging into this more than I have in the past, more consistently than I have in the past. I've loved this album for quite a few years now. The more I listen to it, the more I'm realizing just how diverse and wide-ranging this album really is. It's shoegaze, yes, but there's also a drawn-out melodic instrumental track that has some spoken word over it. There's a song that has literal screaming, hardcore-like. It's interesting, it's deep, it's just really, really good. And we are on to the last album on this list, and it is probably the one I am most excited about from all of 2024 so far. It is Adrian Lenker's Bright Future. This album picks up where Big Thief's Dragon Newborn Mountain, I Believe in You left off in fall of 2022. And it is truly, truly stunning. It has all of the emotional depth, the really, really vivid lyricism. Adrian Lenker's ability to craft a song is pretty much unparalleled in indie music today. It really pulls in a lot of elements that you heard on the more twangy side of that last Big Thief album. Some of the stuff that you hear on guitarist Buck Meek's work, it is really, truly a great album. I'm gonna dig deeper into this one soon. I'm gonna dig deeper into Delaware soon. I'm gonna dig deeper into Soundgarden here soon. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like I mentioned before, check out my Wall of Eyes review. Heck, go ahead and make fun of me for calling it Walls Have Eyes a few times. As one person said many years ago, this dude is a damn nerd. I am Andy. This is the Fence Post Final Channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.